Well, hello. How are the two of you?
Hello.
Hi, Mary Beth. We are
It
great.
is it is so exciting to chat with the both of you. As you can tell, I am a massive fan of The Strangers. I have
Oh
all
my
three
gosh.
masks on my
Oh,
wall.
is that what you wake up to every morning?
This is my office, so no, my husband would
Oh,
not let these be in the bedroom where we sleep. They're in the office, so they're a little less creepy, but still, they scare me every time I walk into the office. So
I love that, like, we're there with it and Scream. I mean, that's awesome.
that's
got
amazing.
Freddy here. Yeah, so I'm so excited to chat with you. The Strangers is like a hugely influential movie for me. So I want to hear from the both of you, like whatever you can tell me about like what you want to do with The Strangers, how you want to expand on the fear of the original and of the second one, and how you're imagining more of these terrifying people. What you can tell us, at least. I know it's
That's the little question. Well, let me go to the beginning. Courtney, the madman here next to me, sent me the script, and without really telling me much more.
The script, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's my point. I opened the script, and it's a computer file, but I realized it's 280 pages long. And I was like, what? And but I started reading it, and I read it in one sitting. Took only about 9 hours, and I was just blown away. Courtney knew that I was a huge fan of the original movie. Really, I think it's one of the best horror films ever made, and uh, and and he just wanted me to read this and wanted to see what do I think. And I thought, what a genius idea to explore this movie that so many of us who are fans really think is one of the best ever made, and to be able to pay homage to the film, but also explore all those open questions that are left in the end of that experience, and go further into the psychology of the movie, and further explore the randomness of that kind of violent acts, and really give the fans and give the new audience the experience of the original, but go far beyond it. What an amazing idea and opportunity! And I don't know how he did it. Then, because if you think of what usually happens, is the studio makes a movie and they want to make a lot of money, and then if they do make a lot of money, then they say like, oh, we have a great idea, let's make a sequel, and let's make more money. But it always takes a few years for that whole process to happen, and then the world has changed, and the actors have changed, and everything have changed, and then you either make a good movie or you don't. But we, because of Courtney, we just said to the studio, we don't want to just give you the opportunity to cash in on the heels of the original film and make a reboot. We want to give the audience much more and explore this much deeper. We want to make 3 movies, and they bought it, which is amazing. And that's what we did, and that's why we are here.
Courtney, did you want to add anything to that? Sorry, I saw you were in.
I mean, that was pretty good. So
Yeah, it was pretty
good. Very bad. This is, by the way, the first time we're doing an interview together. This wasn't rehearsed.
Yeah. We are this is our first together. This is it.
Wow.
Mary
Oh, I'm
Beth,
honored.
I mean, I feel like it's like an amazing omen. Oh, good word. I think it's an amazing omen that those masks are on the wall there.
Totally.
I love those masks on the wall. I
Yeah.
love them. So it's everything Renny said. And of course, when I called him in the first place, I'm like, it's the great Renny Harlin. I'm like, so I've got a little something crazy for you. It's like 280 pages, and we're going to do all 3 at once, and you've got about 4 minutes to shoot them. So there was that. But really where it came from was a friend of mine somehow happened upon the rights, and it's a whole bunch of Hollywood business dealings and stuff like that. Called me up and said, you know so much about horror. What do you think about The Strangers? And I was like, I love The Strangers. What are you talking about? Right? Like,
Yeah.
why are you asking me? He's like, because we've got the rights. And so that's where it started. So I looked at it and I was like, gosh, I really think there's a bigger story here. When I watched the original, I was like so drawn to just, how this could actually happen, and how terrifying and truly terrifying that this was. And that's what I, really loved about the original one. Many other things, but I'm like, I feel like there's somewhere further we can go, and also like to learn more about these people, because, the sequel, you asked about the sequel as well, like Prey of Night was just another stranger story in a trailer park.
Yeah.
It wasn't telling us anything new. It wasn't taking us anywhere else, and it wasn't evolving the characters. And I was sort of like, I would really like to evolve this. So then I came up with this crazy idea and went to Lionsgate and said, so would you let us make a trilogy all at once? In other words, just make all 3 films, and tell one story. To us, it was like a giant film that would be too long as one film to be able to play it
Okay.
for everybody. So we were sort of like, okay, so we're going to make chapters. Right. But what we're going to do is literally where the first film ends and the second film begins, you're in the very next scene. Right.
Oh, okay. That answers a question I had about how you're handling a trilogy and what that's going to look like. Because I know, there's lots of trilogies out there. And what does that look like? That's okay. So it's going to be very much almost like
Yeah, we call them chapters, and
chapters. Okay.
chapters is what we call them, exactly. And so this, the first film is the first chapter of this particular storyline. So literally from 1 to 3, you're following one character's journey over a very short period of time.
Oh,
to refer to it, Renny, what's our term that we came up with? Character-driven horror.
That's what it was. Why didn't you tell me before we shot the movie?
I told that. Day 49 or 50, I was like, character-driven horror. That's what this is.
I thought it was genius-driven horror coming from you.
So can you share, did you shoot all 3 of them at the same, back consecutively, or just the first one? Can you share any information?
That's what Renny was saying. So no, we shot all of them at the same time. So literally Madeleine would be doing, I'm making this up, scene 1 of movie 1, in the morning, and Renny would be doing scene 1 of movie 1 with her in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they'd be doing scene 53 of movie 3.
Whoa, wait, that's crazy.
All over the place. Yeah.
And it was a super challenging experiment.
Yeah.
For everybody, of course, starting with Madeleine and the actors, and then going to everything from the director of photography to the production designer, costume designer, makeup people, and everybody, because you had to be really, at your best game all the time to remember exactly where are you mentally and psychologically, what's happened before this, what's going to happen after this. And that's why I must say that with all the respect, I just can't remember or imagine any other young actor playing, for example, the part of Madeleine in the movie, because, and I can't stop now, but without going a little deeper into this, we realized that meaning Courtney and I, that when we're casting this movie, the boots that we have to fill first is obviously it's Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, who did an incredible job in the original film. And it's not that you just have to, you're thinking of okay, well, we have to find somebody who's also beautiful and all these things like Liv Tyler. It's there is no other Liv Tyler. She was an original. And so our movie is not just a remake of the original. Our movie is 3 movies, like Courtney just explained, and we are going so much deeper into the characters and what might lie behind this randomness of the original film and our first film. So we needed an actor who, obviously, because it is a movie, she has to be attractive. She has to be somebody that the audience wants to watch, but she has to be so much more. And Courtney and I, we interviewed dozens of actors. And yes, we met a lot of good actors, and we were like, yeah, she's really good. But it wasn't until we met with Madeleine that we just looked at each other already during the interview. We just kind of we went like this, we were just kind of smiling at each other and kicking each other and saying this is it. And I'll tell you what was so special about Madeleine. Besides the fact that we knew she's a great actor and that she's breathtakingly beautiful, but her intellect was so razor sharp, and her sense of humor and her way of analyzing these movies and this character, that we realized that we really have to have our game face on, because you don't fool this young woman. You have to have your answers, and they have to be honest, because she's approaching this with such razor sharp analytical skills. So after that talk, which took hours, we couldn't stop. We just looked at each other. We said, we found her. We found the screen queen of the 2020s.
The hilarious thing was she was in Ottawa, Canada. I originally come from Canada, shooting a Christmas movie for Amazon. So when she did the interview with us, she was in her like sort of Christmas up look for that movie to do, you know, a Zoom about playing, you know, Liv Tyler's character in The Strangers, which is hilarious. But, you know, she literally interviewed us. So, you know, when Rennie's like, I mean, she's an extremely intelligent, strong and talented actor, and literally had a notebook with 21 pages of notes of her ideas and what her thoughts were on the script, the 280-page script, there to talk about when we got on, right? And
That's
she
so
also
cool.
was a massive fan of the original movie. It was her literally, she's a fan of horror in general and in a big way, and she told us that was her favorite movie. So Renny and I are like looking at this, and we're just like going, wow, this is like fantastic. But what she said, her insights were exactly what we had been searching for. And, you know, there were a lot of talented people we spoke to, obviously, but we just never felt we had gotten there. And with this is a big mountain to climb. You know, it's an arc that goes like that over.
Yeah.
It's literally like, to us, it was like an epic horror movie driven by a character's story, where you actually get to see the effects of what this, in the vein of the original Strangers, true horror would be if you were actually locked in that universe for multiple days and trying to get out of it.
Oh,
Right. So you go through
in a
and
good
Renny
way.
did a great job with her beat by beat by beat. And you actually see that character earn what they end up doing, you know, and that to us was super exciting because, you know, we love the genre. So that opportunity was just like, oh, this is cool, you know. And then Rennie gave it all the beauty and the suspense and the tension, and, you know, obviously, you know, the scares were in me, but it's like a horror milieu where you actually have a character piece running through it.
And very eloquently said.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to add that the interesting challenge in these three movies was that, keeping in mind always that this is all rooted in reality. The whole point of the Strangers universe is that it is something that could happen to any one of us any day when we least expect it. So in these movies, bigger isn't necessarily better. So where our kind of commercial movie making instinct might sometimes go to like, well, let's make it more amazing. We always, like, we were working very closely on the scripts, and we always had to kind of check on each other. It's like, well, you know, it's that in the honest sphere of this universe, and though it might be attractive and it might be spectacular, you know, does it ring true to our premise? And then we would pull back. And of course, cinematically, I would say that the second movie and the third movie, they are more epic than the first movie, but not epic necessarily at all because there's huge things happening, but because of the exploration of Madeline's character and the exploration of the psychology of the Strangers, it gets more epic. But the movies always stay true to the fact that they are intimate movies about the randomness of horrible violence in our world.
And that was the interesting thing. It's a great, well explained. I mean, you know, from moment number one, I used to refer to myself out there with everybody, you know, we're doing three at once. So we're in a little bit more of a sort of like, you know, big story model. And I was like the warden of the story, I would always say. Renny would come to me, this great idea, we're gonna do it, like, because that's his natural instincts, and he's done that so well for so long. And I'd be like, okay, Renny, come down, come down. He would, no. I'm like, come down. We have to be on this line all the way through. We can never break it. This is what we set. And the reality, we really want the audience to be there. And we all know there's so many subsects of the horror genre. So there's fun horror. There's, you know, campy horror. There's like, you know, big horror.
Supernatural horror.
Supernatural horror. And in this one, we wanted to stay to what made the original so terrifying in the first place. And I really always use that word, I think, was the first one is terrifying because it literally can happen to you. It's literally three random people that just decide to kill these people. You don't know why, you don't know what, I mean, there's a, so we've all had theories for many years, and I've read so many of them online. But they never told us. And so we wanted to stay there. And that was really a task, especially with a short schedule. And as Renny said, doing 3 of them at the same time, because we really, as we call it, chapters, but it's just one giant movie. You could literally play this straight through from beginning to end, but you'd have to sit there for quite a long time to watch the whole movie.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to the both of you for chatting with me briefly about your new take on The Strangers. I'm so excited. I'm even more excited chatting with you. I could chat with you forever, but I know there are other people. So congratulations. I cannot wait to see this movie, and maybe we can chat again about it in the future.
That would be great.
Totally.
Really nice to meet you, Mary Beth.